KNMX.
As a community, we have endured much over the last several years. The devastation that has touched our lives has created unique challenges, but also opportunities. As we work together to rebuild our lives and communities, we must remember that rebuilding is not just the physical structures, but also the social connections that we create, an essence of hope, dreams, and culture. We are in this together, and together we will choose what comes next. Stay safe, and God bless. Brought to you by District Attorney Thomas Clayton and the staff of the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office.
And you're listening to 540 KNMX, KBQL, KMDS, and KMDZ, all stations of SDC Broadcasting, incorporated here in Las Vegas, New Mexico. And with us is our very own city manager, Mr. Robert Anaya. Mr. Manager, tell me, how are you doing today?
Doing good, doing well. Mr. Martinez, Mayor, really appreciate being on the air as usual. But it's a beautiful day out in Las Vegas, and we have some wonderful guests here with us, including our honorable mayor. But we're excited to have some discussion today about our partnership with the state of New Mexico. We also have our Secretary of the Environment Department here, Secretary Kinney, and so we're excited. There's others. I'm gonna defer to the mayor if we could, and let him introduce himself, and as everyone knows the mayor, but and then maybe go around the room, Mayor, whatever your thoughts are.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager. I appreciate that. That you're correct. We have getting a little bit of. So no, it's a beautiful day. We had like you mentioned, Mr. Manager. We have an opportunity here with Secretary Kenny. We just got back from the water treatment plant, giving him a tour of what's going on. Of course, also in the room here we have Mr. Jonas Armstrong with the Drinking Water Bureau, Mr. Chad Brown with the Plexos Group. They're basically our project managers, partners with that are contracted through the state that are here to help us, and then also our utilities director Travis Martinez.
And I know we had done some work with Chad Brown, but Chad Freeman, Mr.
Sorry,
Mayor.
Freeman.
But you're good.
Sorry, Freeman.
You're good. A lot of.
It's an easy mistake.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Freeman.
But I think it'd be great, Secretary, we go ahead and let you kick things off. We, like I said, we've been in this partnership with the state of New Mexico, your team, Jonas, and Plexos Group, Mr. Freeman, and so we've been talking up our partnership, but we're honored to have you here today. So why don't you go ahead and give some background, Secretary, and we'll go around the room and have some discussion about our progress.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is such a great honor to be here in Las Vegas and to be touring the work that has been done by the fantastic men and women in Las Vegas, from the utilities department through the city council, through the mayor's office, and then in partnership with our team from our water protection division, to really see the engineering and technology, and I should say all the contractors and consultants that are involved, but to really see the partnership as more than something we talk about, but something that is actually coming to life, is something that is changing the trajectory of safe and reliable drinking water for Las Vegas. It's a monumental moment. I think let's all just concede that the page is turned and we're on a much better trajectory than we've ever been on, and it's a partnership that's a verb, not a noun. You know what I'm saying? It's really the actions that are happening every day that have really solidified the path forward for Las Vegas, and I couldn't be more excited and happy.
Awesome, Secretary, and I think it's important we just, no pun intended, dive right in, right? But Mr. Armstrong, talk a bit about the process. I think people need to be a little more aware of the process of communication and that interface between the city and the state and the consultant or contractor. But why don't you provide a little framework? The mayor and I have been working at it, as well as Mr. Martinez, but it's great to have you here today to speak to it from the state's perspective.
Well, thank you, Robert. I think it's important to recognize the work that you all have done through your, ongoing engagements on this radio station, to be transparent with the community, to give those updates and let them know what's happening. It's also important to set the table a little bit in terms of how we got here. I'm sure you've talked with your community about that, but the city's system, specifically the treatment plant, is decades old, from the 1960s. With a plant that age, there are going to be issues, and there were issues with the Las Vegas water treatment plant for a while. The fires of 2022 and the post-fire flooding that happened after those fires really caused a more significant issue for that fragile situation with the old plant. The city's been working for a few years now to provide safe, reliable water, and the Environment Department has had a role in that too. Working with this administration, we came to a settlement agreement on some deficiencies of the 2021 sanitary survey, which is our regular check-in of a drinking water system. We resolved those earlier this year, and then in late May, the governor came to town, held a town hall meeting with all the stakeholders, and emphasized the seriousness of the situation of providing safe, reliable water to New Mexicans in Las Vegas and the folks in the county areas around your city that rely on your system. Following that town hall, we worked together, many of the folks on this show now, to get an intergovernmental agreement signed, a contract between the city and the state, saying that the state is here to help, is here to project manage, and we are doing that now collaboratively with the city through our contract project manager and engineer team. That has come a long way. We've all made a ton of progress in those conversations, reviewing the loads, thousands of pages of work that the city had done before we came in from the state side. Getting a sense of all that planning helped us decide on a path forward, being a new plant versus continuing to repair the existing plant. Those piecemeal repairs are more expensive long term than building a new plant, and a new plant can be a generational asset for the children and grandchildren of Las Vegas. We have that IGA now in place. We've been working for 2 months under that agreement, and we are getting to a place where we will be able to start planning and design on that new treatment plant. People in Las Vegas should expect to see a lot of activity in the next year in terms of more people at the water treatment plant, more people focused on getting towards starting construction. And then later next year, you'll likely see construction being started here. So, it's been a long path, but every city goes through the need to replace their aging infrastructure at some point. And now's the time for Las Vegas. The opportunity is here with the federal funding and with the collaboration with the state. So couldn't be more excited about continuing to move down that path.
So Jonas, I want to jump in because I know, the headline after the governor came, and those of us that have worked many years, along with her, just know her determination, style that she has, right? If she wants things done, it's not that she's coming down to, I know the headline at the time when the governor came, the governor wants to take over the water system, but that was never the intent. The intent was, for us to sit down and see the opportunity of partnership. So that was, I know after that meeting, I reached out to Secretary Kenny and said, hey, let's get this ball rolling. And, that's where we started with the intergovernmental agreement. And throughout that agreement, and I know we've mentioned it many times when we come out on the radio, is that it's a partnership. I mean, we're at the table, letting you guys know what we've done, the opportunities where you guys can help speed things up, and of course all the experts that you guys have brought along with Plexos and everybody that they bring. But I just wanted to clarify that I know for the average person that sees the governor when she's determined, it seems like she's angry, and that just she's a determined, and when she has goals set forth, and she has high expectations, and I think Secretary Kenny could probably vouch for this. Is when she wants things done, she wants them done, and it's not to degrade anybody or anything. Just let's get things done. I think we at the city saw that opportunity, an opportunity. I mean, in the past, as I had mentioned to these gentlemen earlier, when there was permits that took a little longer than what we had anticipated. But once we came into the intergovernmental agreement, it's to me been a smooth transition. It's been great, great for the city, great for the partnership, and I mean the more experts you have at the table, and again remind the community that we've had some great experts working on this. It's not like I made the joke earlier, there at the water treatment plant. It's not the mayor just there's assumptions, right, that the mayor's operating the water plant, but there's, high level experts that are, way smarter than me, or the city manager that are, making decisions, and just bringing you guys on board has really taken us to that next step. And as you saw today, Secretary, great things that are happening. And now, Mr. Manager, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, no, I would just say that I think that's a good framework of background and information, and I think it's an opportune time to get some additional feedback from the secretary for sure. But right now, I'd like Mr. Freeman, if you would. We just came from a meeting, and what we're learning is we need more space to cover all the expertise and people working on this project. But there was probably 20 plus people in the room talking about the engineering and the technical aspects of what's happening. So Mr. Freeman, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about that and that interface of not just, and I've said this on our program over and over, we understand that we are going to get to a new treatment plant that's going to sustain us for decades to come. But we're also thinking in terms of having some redundancy with our current system. So, we do this thing right as we're all working towards, we're going to have a new plant, but we're also going to have a component of our existing plant that if we needed to, in an emergency situation, we might have a redundant system. And so that's something that we've been talking about with all of the team players sitting around this table and others. But jump in, Mr. Freeman, give some background and context to the level of experts and the work that's going on relative to the engineering.
Thank you, Robert. Today I think you saw probably about 30 engineers out there. Basically, they've been focused on the ActiFlow system, which is a really good system. It's meant to, when you have these high turbid situations, these floods, these rains, the system, you can switch it on in a heartbeat and it will clear up your water, right? A lot quicker than a normal process. Those engineers are also out there taking samples. All the samples that we're taking, and we're taking hundreds and hundreds, and I think you guys have seen that in our schedule. But the reason for taking these samples is when we design the new water plant, we want to be able to cover every possible situation in the future. So the next time you do have a fire or a flood, that treatment plant can handle it without any additional assistance.
Awesome. Secretary, I know that you're going to have to sneak out in a while, but can you jump in and talk a little bit about your background and experience associated with these types of projects? And Joe Martinez, we haven't shouted out Joe's name, but I know Travis and his old team work on a regular basis with your entire team at the Drinking Water Bureau and the whole environment department. But can you talk a little bit about that context and the service that the Environment Department provides, not only here, but statewide?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great setup. And again, to Joe Martinez and the entire Drinking Water Bureau, I think they're unsung heroes, just like many of the utilities departments around the state of New Mexico. The people who make your drinking water safe every day, it's not an easy job. It's a lot of chemistry, mathematics, it's a lot of commitment around the clock. And then throw on top of that what nobody has, really planned for, which is wildfires and massive floods. I mean, just to give you and your listeners a sense of what this is like, imagine if you, took your fresh, clean drinking water, like the water of northern New Mexico, and just added a whole bunch of, just replace it with salt water, for example. I mean, that's the way that our utility operators and our drinking water treatment plants have to deal with the vast changes of that, what we would call source water. It goes from, we understand the water that's coming into the plant, to we have no idea about the water that's coming into the plant. I mean, it is 10x, 100x, 1000x different, and we can't expect the same treatment system to treat that far outside of those parameters. So the job is hard. I mean, maybe that's the bottom line, is the job is really hard, but you have dedicated people in state government, in city government, in all around the state of New Mexico who are dealing with this. And I was saying to the mayor as we were standing on top of the clarifier area, that maybe this is the pre-treatment system that is here in Las Vegas, I think should be purchased and sitting in every rural community that may have a wildfire or a flood, because that variance of the type of source water that's going to hit those plants is only going to become more variable over time. So Las Vegas is actually now, in my mind, of the drinking water systems I know throughout the state of New Mexico, on the cutting edge of deploying technology, of training its people, of understanding how to deal with a wide variety of source water that comes in. This is not what's taught. This was, when I went to engineering school, this wasn't, you didn't study wildfire impacts on drinking water systems. And I think we're living that in real time in the state of New Mexico and right here in Las Vegas. But man, are they doing a good job. And I just appreciate they're writing the textbook on how to do it right for communities all over the state.
And if you don't mind, Mr. Manager, I'm going to jump in and ask the Secretary a couple of things real quick, or at least let him know a little bit about what I've seen. You talked about the clarifier. I was mayor back when we put it in there, and I didn't know that we probably should have put a roof on it or a shelter on it, but I guess that will probably be seen in the months and years to in front of us here. But nonetheless, I've seen, and I always wondered, at some point we have a shot to lose our watershed. And, you just see the temperatures going up, you see all kinds of weather changing. And then with this catastrophe that happened, I have to admit that what I've seen from the city, and I've attended some of their emergency meetings. I know when they had an emergency management thing put together at the fire station, I've never seen such a dedicated group of people work as hard as they did to try to at least stabilize things so that the community could continue to see at least some idea of what this needed to be as we went through this process. It was the perfect storm. First we had the wildfire, and we'd lost all of the vegetation that could have supported, getting all the rains that came. That event that happened in June of last year, I guess last year it is, right? Probably changed everything. And I know that the city was already working on plans with engineers of how to design the right plant. But ultimately what it boils down to is even that made different input into the way this thing was going to be designed moving forward. And going back to your comment about redundancy, we're out here in the sticks, and a lot of rural communities are. Just for example, this radio station, we have to have redundancy out here, because if we don't, it could be a month, it could be 2 weeks, it could be a year before we get some equipment that might be able to support the operation of a radio station. So in many ways, we all have to be looking at redundancy. But just on behalf of myself, as an observer looking back and giving advice the best I can to both the mayor and council and the manager, I'll tell you what, this group of people, especially the staff, I can't give them enough credit all the things that they've done to make sure that this community stays at least flush so that we can, prepare to construct and build and all the stuff like that. I've never seen a group like this before. This is amazing what you're all are working with now. And then when I think about the filter plant, I can't stop and not think about the wastewater plant, because that on the other side of the equation also has an impact. So all those things together, considering the fact that we've been through, the Pueblo water rights lawsuits and all that stuff, all the work that we've done with the acequias, with the Story Project Water Association, all of these things have really contributed to making the perfect storm what it ended up being. We just need to get out of there, and I think the expertise is in the room and is on the table right now to make sure that we move forward. So I don't know if that's a question, but at least it's a comment. But nonetheless, I did want to let you know that these people, I've seen them roll up their sleeves and get to work.
Yeah, I would. My only response to that is I agree, and there are times when we can, to the mayor's earlier point about maybe headlines. There are times we're united by one thing right now, is that we want clean, reliable, safe drinking water for the community of Las Vegas and the outer county areas. Anyone who's served by the system. That's what we want. That's what I don't question that whatsoever from anyone in this room. And sometimes I think people start to look for storylines where we're demonizing each other, but the reality is the only enemy is dirty water, or bad water, and that's what we're fighting against. And I think, I would say the people of Las Vegas and anyone served by the system need to have some faith and confidence that there's a whole of government, and I mean that in the best way possible, bringing the money, the technical resources, and anything else actually that you all need. We're here to help get it done, and we're here to get it done before this administration ends, before the state administration ends. We want to leave office saying that we helped them build that, and they helped us build that, and that's our goal.
No, appreciate it, Mayor.
And I think to add to that, Secretary, is that's what we want to do. I know you guys encounter many municipalities or county governments that don't want to partner, or they don't see the state as a partner, right? It's always an enemy. And I think the way we're looking at it, this is a partnership and maybe an example throughout the state of how local government and state government can work together. As a matter of fact, I was just at a municipal league conference, and that was kind of my pitch. Never fight the state. I mean, we might have differences, but let's sit down at the table and work together. And I think this is an example of that.
Absolutely. The one thing I want to key off of that Secretary Kenny talked about was, and I've been saying it consistently, as has the mayor and others, and for sure, I'm gonna, after I make the comment, I'd like Mr. Martinez to make some comments relative to it. But we also understand that there are knowns and unknowns associated with the new chemistries associated with the water treatment plant. And it's important for everybody to realize we don't have all the answers. We still don't know all of the impacts associated with the Calf Canyon Hermit's Peak fire, and there will be challenges. So without a doubt, we're here collectively showing that we're working in a unified manner to approach these issues and to work through them. But without a doubt, there will be challenges. Until we get to that point where we have the new facility that deals with all those new chemistries that Mr. Freeman talked about relative to the testing and the challenges therein, we're finding out new challenges daily associated with that fire caused by human hands. And so I always tell the public that, I always tell everybody that is, yes, we're working together, but do we know everything? No, we don't. But together we'll take on those challenges and work through them as we need to get to the right place, which is ultimately that clean water. But Mr. Martinez, if you could, why don't you speak a little bit to what happens, and I know we talk about it a lot, but talk about what happens within our treatment facility and measures that we take on a regular basis to stop the water into the treatment plant and use other resources and shift between the watershed as well as other areas. I know Secretary Kenny, you gotta run. Any last comments before I turn it over to Travis?
Just looking forward to Travis's answer on that, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary.
Mr. Martinez.
So to answer all of that, it's a very difficult question to ask, because there are many things that we do at the water treatment plant to protect the water, to protect the chemistry that the plant needs in order to produce compliant water. You know, we do have a new piece of technology that we are going to be utilizing. They talked about it earlier, the active flow. The river starts flooding. You know, there's times where we can't even use that, so we switch over to a reservoir. We utilize the reservoir during those times, and when the water slows down, we go back to the river. And you know, depending on the water coming into the treatment plant, we do our jar testing. We do the dosages. We make sure that the chemical that we're adding is enough to the plant can make our compliant water, so that way we don't call Jonas and try to work something out. But it has been very difficult as far as the water chemistry goes, because as you guys probably don't know, there's 1,000 different types of chemicals or contaminants in our water, and you know, that's just regular river water. Now that we're dealing with the fire, you know, there's 10,000 different kinds of chemicals, contaminants now. And you know, yeah, burnt rock throws out a whole different contaminant than a regular rock does. Little did we know about that, but you know, like Secretary Cabinet was saying, they don't teach you that stuff when it comes to the fire. You know, back, I believe about a year ago or half a year ago, I was talking with the mayor, and we had found a new contaminant we have never dealt with before. And you know, we went all the way up the river, you know, taking samples just to see what the cause was. And after testing and sending it to the labs, come back to find out, you know, it was a chemical a contaminant that a rock throws off after it was burnt. And as you can tell, there was thousands of rocks that were burnt. And you know, with all the erosion and everything happening, with all the flooding, now it's just getting into the river, and that's another contaminant that the water treatment plant is having to deal with. And it seems every day and every rainfall and every flood, and there's something brand new that's happening. And the city manager and the mayor know this, because I'm always coming to them, we need upgrades, we need this. And of course we have to justify why we need it, but like Chad said, and Jonas and everybody, it's a whole new world now, especially with the Calf Canyon fire and all the excessive floodings. And we've conducted SOPs, you know, our standard operating procedures, and we've conducted scenarios of what's going to happen, how do we react. We've standardized our on-calls, we've standardized the SCADA systems. We're getting better and better on what to look for and how to approach the situation. And now that we're in partnership with the state, it's been a lot easier for reporting and justifying. And now that we have Plexos here with us, they've brought a whole new world of engineers to us, and it's an eye-opener on a lot of things that the water treatment plant is doing and what we're capable of doing now. Unfortunately for me and my position, I don't get to sleep a whole lot often, because I'm always thinking about, okay, water treatment plant, what can go wrong? How do we deal with it? And that's where we have my staff, and I come up with the scenarios, they come up with the answers. But moving to the next process, what's in distribution? Distribution's a whole other setup of your drinking water. We have issues in the distribution, and I talked with my managers on that. Okay, here's scenarios, how do we do with it? How do we respond? You know, so on and so forth. And I know Chad, me and him have talked, and Port his people, but I'm always saying, whatever happens up at the water treatment plant with the new facility, you got to remember I still need to do the wastewater. And we are working with that thanks to our city manager that we have here. We're going out for a lot of funding for a lot of those upgrades. But I also have to mitigate between what we're doing up at the water treatment plant to the wastewater, so that way we kind of have a familiar facility that, you know, one can handle the other, while we also have our collections and our distribution that's in the middle, that takes the water to your tap and then from your toilet to the wastewater. So I'm I'm learning a whole lot between the engineering, it's been very beneficial, I think, and with everybody in the table, especially the state and how Jonas and them have been helping us, it's been a lot smoother process in this partnership that we've been. So I hope I answered that one right, but it's a
was
really
gonna say, yeah,
complex question.
nothing like softball, hardball questions from the city manager, but I'm never surprised because you're good at working with what you have, Travis, but also good at navigating resources to help you get things done. And so shout out to you and the whole team. But I think one of the things that I'd like to maybe pivot back to, Jonas, is if you could talk a little bit about, what next, right? We know that there's a process that happens associated with testing and sampling to really understand the chemistries that we know right now, right? We understand those could change. But we're also evolving into a new process by which we'll bring in, we already have a lot of engineers and experts working on the project now. What next? Would you help? We've been providing background to the community and working side by side, but could you talk a little bit about phasing in and what's next for us as we move to ultimately sticking a shovel in the ground, as Mr. Freeman noted to me earlier today? Where do we go from here?
Absolutely. So there's two balls, right? There's that we have to keep our eye on. Usually you talk about keeping your eye on the ball, the baseball analogy, and it's one ball, but we've got two. And Travis just did a really good job describing the interconnection of the system, that it's beyond the treatment plant, that it has to all work together. And we are trying to keep our eye on that ball with ongoing maintenance and operation and repairs or improvements to the current water treatment plant, but also keeping our eye on the ball of what's next, to your point, Robert. And that is getting a design firm on board through state procurement to start on the really drawing the plans and designs. And to the point that Chad made earlier, the work that our engineers are doing now in terms of sampling is hugely important to that. You've got to understand the water chemistry to be able to make sure that you're getting your planning and design right in terms of identifying the equipment and processes that you need to run the water through to get it to drinking water standards. And so as we develop that sampling, we will have very soon a engineering firm on board to start the drawings. We expect that to be to 60% spring of next year. That's an important milestone because that allows you to get to the golden shovel moment of when you can start moving dirt, when you can start laying some concrete and asphalt and doing that civil work to prepare for construction of the actual plant itself. And that will start later on in 2026 is our expectation, the actual construction of the new plant. So construction timeline forecasting is a dangerous business. It's much harder than forecasting the weather in New Mexico, which is most days it's sunny in the morning and it might rain in the afternoon. With forecasting construction timelines, there are just some circumstances that are beyond the control of the stakeholders on the project. A lot of these parts that are going to be required will come from overseas. There are supply issues, there are additional tariff costs questions. So I'm saying we will start next year, and you can be ambitious in terms of a construction timeline, but I don't want to put an end date on it. You heard the secretary say earlier he hopes this administration leaves being able to point to, we built that. I think that's an ambitious and a good goal to have, but I also am aware that there are a lot of factors that can come into it.
And Jonas, I want to touch up on that. I know I brought it up before, and counselors have also. Is that we encountered this as we went through the June event of last year, where we had to basically rethink the whole treatment plant. So one thing that we clearly and we want the public to understand this is that we don't know what's going to happen by the time we do put the shovel in the ground. we might have, another disaster. I mean, look what's happening in Ruidoso, right? I mean, one disaster or something else happens that can change what that might be, right? So instead of just, as you mentioned, we don't want to put that end date. Of course, we all have the same goal, I think, as the state and the governor. We want it done by next year, by the time she leaves office, to be able to celebrate. But we also want to be cautious and not build something that isn't going to work for us later on. So I think we're mindful at the city on our part that, let's just, whatever we do, we're going to do this right. We're not going to just for time's sake, push the project just to have a timeline, as you mentioned. So
100% right. Doing things right is the most important. That's how you get to the ultimate goal of safe, reliable water for the people. I think that it's important to know, like you just said, Mayor, that things can change. And adaptive management is a key part of our project management philosophy. Last year, it's not a great pun. It's not really intended, but last year was a watershed moment in June 2024. It really changed the outlook on what can happen and what we need to be prepared for. So we've learned a lot. We've gone through the data after that event, and we can design to that data. But yeah, we're always keeping an eye on what might come. To that point, we've initiated, or will be soon initiating, some stormwater surveys of how water comes down the canyons to the treatment plant. Because the more data and the more information we can gather, the better we can plan going forward.
No, well said. One of the things I want to highlight and say publicly and transparently is it takes leadership and direction and guidance to be able to advance having all the people in the room that we have. So our mayor, Mayor Romero, our council, Councilwoman Casey, Councilor Martinez, Councilor Montoya, Councilor Ulabari, it's important to note that they all provided us that leadership and direction to approve those agreements, to continue this ball and this evolution of change and dynamics associated with Calf Canyon Fire. And so it's important to note their involvement on a regular basis and their commitment to support what we're all doing here. It's also very important to note, along with the governor and the whole team of the state of New Mexico, we've also had our county commissioners alongside the state. We've also had Highlands University, Luna Community College, our state senator, Senator Campos, our representatives, Representatives Sanchez, Representative Gonzalez, and also our other senators in the periphery, Senator Stefanix and others. So there's even been, we had people here from the Legislative Finance Authority, not the Legislative Finance Committee, but then we've also had the New Mexico Finance Authority, Legislative Oversight Committee, and people all over the state of New Mexico that have embraced the challenges that we're facing here in northern New Mexico associated with the fire. So it really does take everybody working in a uniform, collective way to help make things happen. And so Mr. Martinez noted distribution. So we know things don't happen in a vacuum. So we've already received leadership from, again, our mayor and council, and support from all those other players in our community to advance a water storage project. Mr. Martinez is working in concert with our engineers and through the support of Jonas and Mr. Freeman and their team to improve our water distribution side and our storage side. We know we have to do improvements to our sewer system and our sewer treatment plant. We know that works hand in glove with everything you do upstream. You've got to deal with downstream. And so it's not one project, but it's a collective of many projects. And I want to go back to you, Mayor, if you would speak to some of that and some of that process and involvement. There's a lot happening in the city of Las Vegas, but it doesn't happen on its own, and it takes leadership and guidance.
Well, and I mean, and I always say this, I couldn't do what I do as a mayor without my governing body, because they're the ones that I mean, I know I might have a vision, but without that vision, you and I, can't do it alone, right? We have to have the support of the governing body. I mean, I know when the governor came, like I mentioned earlier, those of us that know her know that, she wants to get things done. Like, I didn't take it as an insult. I didn't take it as degrading to the community. I just said, okay, well, now we need to buckle down and let's sit down with the state and work, see how we could partner to get things done faster. I mean, I knew we were getting things done, but the big opportunity was how can we get it done faster? How could we cut the red tape? How can we advance things that normally take a longer time? How can we shorten that timeline, right? So, having that, I know my manager, myself, Mr. Lucas Marcus attended a meeting with all the secretaries, DFA, the governor's office, and we just came, we had a special meeting, had discussion with the governing body, talked about the opportunities that this can bring. And I mean, at the end of the day, I can't vote on that. It had to be their support in this intergovernmental agreement. So this isn't, this wasn't just me. It was the support that the governing body led for us to be able to get to this point. I think that's the important part of it. The mayor has no power to. I think I even mentioned that at that meeting. I have no power to sign that agreement without their support. So we had that special meeting. There was some questions that they had. We followed up with another meeting, and it was unanimous. You know what I mean? So this is all kudos to them. You know what I mean? It's their leadership, and where we're at here today is because of that. So having, like, I can't stress it enough. The having Jonas and Chad here, at the table, and their team. I mean, I know they're just two individuals here in this room, but the team that they bring to help us speed up those timelines has been very beneficial, and I think we're starting to see that.
No, awesome. Chad, could you, right off that point that the mayor brings up, can you talk about some of your people that you have here that have been working in the trenches, if you will? I don't know
if we have that much time out left.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really. No, we have a really great team of engineers. They've been here working nonstop, long hours, pulling all this information together. We've got a lot of momentum going right now, and I think we need to keep it going. I do see us moving even quicker over the next few weeks with, like Jonas said, bringing on a design firm, nailing down that design, that basis of design for the process. I think we have that now. And actually, the city, some of your consultants as well, have worked very well with our team. But I can't say enough good things about the engineers that we have out there in the field right now, and the support that your staff, because we can't do it on our own. So the operations staff has been instrumental.
I know. I feel like if we start listing names, I'll forget somebody. But at risk of that, I'll say, Andy Shetler has been great. Mike Mazura has been fantastic. He's been on site a lot. Andy's got a team supporting her too. Mr. Reyes, I can't remember his first name, but he's on all the calls with us. Dr. Howe, as Chad referred to, a city consultant who was on the project before the state got involved, has been helpful. Joe Martinez, who's the Drinking Water Bureau chief at the Environment Department, and Emily Worthen, who's his staff engineer, who've been working with the city both before and after the agreement was signed. And obviously Travis, Marvin, Josh, Dominic, everybody who is on staff with the city, who will be here running that system after we all have our shared success, and after the golden shovel and the ribbon cutting. Travis and Marvin and Dominic and Josh are still going to be here, and that dedication is what really carries us forward, and the continued support of that dedicated staff from the city's leadership, from the governing board, from the mayor, from the city manager. I've heard stories from my team telling me about June 2024 and how Marvin and Travis had to be, and I don't mean to mischaracterize it, I hope I'm not, but practically dragged away from the treatment plant because of their level of dedication to the infrastructure and what that infrastructure stands for in terms of providing for the people. I think they're from the community, and obviously they want to continue to care for it. So yeah, I think the team has been enormous in terms of the desire to succeed and the work ethic to get there, and I have all the confidence that we're going to continue and we'll get there.
And I'd like to pay a tribute to the people that you don't see on a daily basis. There is a team behind us in the labs running samples. You know, Andrea, Gavin. We've got a group of people that are, you know, once you get these results, you have to determine what they mean. And these people are working 24/7 to get us the information so that we can expedite the engineering and the equipment.
No, perfect. Mayor Martinez, I think there was a song, right? We've had fire, we have had floods, rain, but raining when it's the sun shining. What's that song? You're going to sing it, I think.
Well, I've not been known to do that kind of stuff on the air, especially in front of so many dignified people, and I definitely don't want to bring the tone down, but I do want to add, if you don't mind, Mr. Manager, if you could give us a little update, or maybe you and Travis can give us a little update of exactly where we're at right now, because I know you all have been taking care of some long-awaited deferred maintenance, and maybe give the community an update of where you're at right now, because right now we haven't skipped a beat. We're still getting good quality water right now as we speak, but give us a little update, and then maybe a little bit about what you guys are planning to do. One of your meetings, a few meetings back, you all talked about your storage tanks and that kind of stuff, and go from there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem.
And if you don't mind, let me do this. You are all listening to 540 KNMX, KBQL, KMDS, and KMDZ, Las Vegas, New Mexico, and we are visiting with the city manager and the city mayor right now, and members of the engineering staff and the staff of the city, including Mr. Travis Martinez with the city of Las Vegas. So, Mr. Manager, it's yours now.
No problem. Mr. Martinez, why don't you go ahead and give them a brief snapshot on our filter bed replacement and some of the other work that we're doing, and then we can give them a little more information on the water storage tanks, where that's at, and a little more background.
And to add to that, Travis, if you don't mind, maybe the last time those were replaced, if you could add that into your...
Okay, no problem. So I'll just start off. I'll go real quick on all the projects that we're doing right now. I'll start off at the Gallinas diversion, where the city conveys the water from the river to the treatment plant. Right now we are about 90% done with removal of the sediments up there, so that way the river flows, we get better water. We're working on replacing the gabions. Come down to the water treatment facility, the active flow is becoming online. We're doing the filter beds. We just received all the material yesterday. They're going to be sandblasting the bottom of the filter beds. Starting Friday, I believe, is when they're coming down. The containment is being done right now, so we don't contaminate the other filter beds. Those will be done this week, and next week the construction of the filter beds, the under drains, will start on both 3 and 4. We're expecting the estimated time for 3 and 4 to be complete and brought online is mid-month of October, going towards the end of October. We have all the contractors and everything right now ready to move on that project. It's just one phase at a time. Once we get those, we'll be able to move back to replacing or rehabbing filter beds 1 and 2. That'll come when 3 or 4 are back online. We're working on a plan right now to see if we're going to take both 1 and 2 offline and do the same we did with 3 and 4, or we're going to take one offline and then the other one. We want to make sure that we have everything in place for that. Last time the filter beds were replaced, filter bed number 4 was replaced back in 2019, 2020, but 1, 2, and 3 were not done. The last time they were replaced was 1992, 93. I'd have to go back, but that was the last time that it was replaced. This time, it was the under drains that blew out on that. We're also working on the pit pond / sedimentation basins. Those are done behind our reservoirs. Those are for extra protection, so that way the water, sediment, debris, anything that's coming down the river will be caught in those basins and won't contaminate the reservoirs. We are also working on SCADA. Right now, SCADA is about 70-75%. Around there, we are working to bring that online. Once we get that system online, it's a data acquisition system. So now the water treatment guys, staff, Marvin, Dominic, and Josh, they'll be able to see everything that's going on within the plant on their phone, the computer. It'll record the raw data, so that way when Jonas and his staff asks the water treatment facility, can I see the profiles, can I see the chemical, can I see everything? All we got to do is just download the data and we send it to them. Technology is changing every day, like I always tell everybody, and the thing I always say is never say it's state of the art, because tomorrow it's history, the way that technology changes. And as far as distribution goes, we are working on the storage tanks. It's about an extra 5 million gallons. It'll give the city an extra 6 more days, I believe, in storage. On top of that, it'll be on the east side of town, which we'll be able to loop it. We'll be able to put a storage tank and a water line up to the airport. On top of that, we're also working with water meters, because that all ties in. The water meters need to be updated. There's a lot of things going on, especially in the distribution. We're also working on the upgrades at the wastewater treatment facility. We got the aeration back on. We got the scum pumps working again. We're working on the sludge removal, taking it up to the airport where we have our permit over there. We're also working on the new permits that we have to update. So I think in a nutshell, off the top of my head, well, we have a lot more projects going on, but the bigger projects, those are what we're contending with now.
Appreciate it, Mr. Martinez. I would just, going back to the storage tanks, we're actually going to get to 6 million gallons, 2 million gallon tanks, and we're looking to stick the shovel in the ground on that and get it done, hopefully by the end of next year, and work with our partners, work with the state of New Mexico and our consultant partners. I would also note the Sulcer Group. Deborah and her team have been helpful with the city. A lot of projects happening. I think I would want to conclude, if I could, Mr. Martinez, talking about some debris removal. I'm going to change gears a little bit. We're getting ready at the City of Las Vegas to engage contractors to work as part of emergency abatement work, if you will, of debris in our riverbed, Gallinas River, from Mills Avenue to the south end of town. We have our monitor contractor consultant that's been approved by the mayor and council, and we have several contractors that have also been approved by the mayor and council. So in the coming weeks, we will be providing additional information to the community as to what that project will look like. But the essence of it is it will help us remove the debris and the pathway of the Gallinas River to be able to flow appropriately to keep the water from flooding and creating the many issues that I know the residents of Las Vegas have been sustaining and dealing with when we have flooding. And so that's coming soon. We also have some alley cleanup that we're going to be engaging in across the city of Las Vegas in every ward. And we're doing that in consultation with not only our internal team, our public works staff through Mr. Lopez and Mr. Martinez and their team, but we're also working with external support people like our Soil and Water Conservation District and others in the community that are going to help us with that. So many projects happening. We'll come back. One thing that Mr. Freeman and I and Mr. Armstrong and our team were talking about was actually going to the community and providing more information through the radio waves, but also tabling events where we can answer questions for the community, give the community the opportunity to come ask us questions and get feedback. So our interest is to keep everybody updated and everything transparent. Amanda Salas, our PIO, does a fantastic job notifying the public, as does many within the city. Mayor, I think I'd like to go to you to provide some closing thoughts.
No, again, I'm just glad we had the opportunity to have Secretary Kenny here today to see the progress that we've done. I'm sure Jonas and his team are always updating him, but to have him here to visually see, the work that has been done, I think makes a big impact, especially because he's in direct contact with the governor, right? So, him seeing firsthand, helps that a lot. And just hearing him today on his excitement on what has been done, what has been accomplished, is good things, not only for me, but to be able to come here today. And thank you, Mr. Martinez, for allowing us to come in a big group, but we thought it was a perfect opportunity to basically give the news firsthand and off the press, as they say, I guess, in radio, right? So, it's I'm glad that these guys were able to be here. I know Jonas, we see more often, him and Chad, so I'm sure we could make this more regularly. But you're right, Mr. Manager, that we'll continue to do as best as we can. I mean, we can't predict everything, but we could sure as much be prepared for what we can be within our capabilities. Again, without Travis and his staff and everything that they do, and I think Jonas said it perfectly. I mean, the amount of work that these guys have done in the past 2 years is, I don't think anybody has worked harder, than these guys in the past 2 years. So I give them credit and kudos, and everybody. I mean, everybody in the city. I say this all the time, and I think, well, Mr. Manager, has the same philosophy. As we're a team. We're not just, I'm not the mayor, and I mean, I can't get things done by myself. He's the manager. He can't get things done by himself. The governing body can't do nothing by themselves. It takes the guys in the trenches to get things done, and it's happening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Manager, for providing this information to the community. I know that they want to know what's happening. Pretty much, this is monumental, what the city of Las Vegas has had to go through in the last couple of years. Well, actually, the last 3 years since the fire itself. No one would have anticipated that it would have impacted, probably the most sacred thing we have, and that's water. And thanks to you all and the work that everyone's put in for the last few years, we appreciate the effort that you all do to make sure that we have clean water at our homes every day, so that we can continue to live hopefully a very productive life in probably one of the best climates there is right now during the fall. I don't know if there's any other place that can compare to this. There's other places that are interesting, but I'll tell you, it doesn't matter how hot it gets here, but it'll cool down by the evening. So thank you very much, Mr. Manager, for being with us and for all the work you, the mayor, the council have done for our community.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Until next time, we'll see you later, but take care.
Thank you very much. And folks, we'll be having this show every single month, so it'll be the third Tuesday of every month right here on 540 KNMX and all our stations. So folks, we're going to go back to our regular programming here in just a minute. Thank you very much for listening to this program. And we'll be back with our very own probate judge, Dwight Torres, this afternoon at 1 o'clock right here on 540 KNMX.